This is the most expensive alcohol in the entire world, made from one extremely rare ingredient. We're gonna dive into how it's made, what makes it so special, and of course, see if the taste is actually worth it. We're starting here in New Zealand, where I'm on the search to find some of the rarest honey in the entire world, which will be the main ingredient in crafting our spirit. It's called Mānuka honey, and one of the things that makes it so special is it's only produced in the remote, wild regions of New Zealand from the nectar of the Mānuka tree, which only blooms a few weeks out of the whole year.
So what we have here is different grades of honeys. It comes in different strengths.
Okay.
And that is the medicinal benefits that are in the honey.
In order to be sold as Mānuka honey, it's got to be certified and lab tested and assign an MGO value, which is basically a measure of the potency and purity of the honey.
This one here is an aged Mānuka. It's aged 3 years. And that increases its medicinal benefits and its flavour. And it's won 3 awards.
Just dip it in?
Just dip it in and have a taste.
That's absolutely delicious.
It's my favourite.
So good. That's gonna make some good mead. It's clear that New Zealanders have pride in their honey since you can't get it anywhere else, and this was Dave's message to others trying to claim it as their own.
Well, you cut it out. Fuck off.
That's awesome. So I realized that I never actually explained what the honey actually tastes like. The best way that I can describe it is, to me, it tastes like it has notes of toffee, anise, and mint, which I know sounds completely crazy. There's no situation where those flavors would go together, but it works and it's really good and it tastes nothing like normal honey. And the crazy thing about Mānuka honey is the purest stuff can get up to $1,000 per kilo. That's over 100 times the price of normal honey. But somehow we were able to get our hands on an entire bucket. And as you can see, this is as raw as it gets. So how do you transform honey into pure liquor? Well, I've paired up with my friends who specialize in distilling spirits to help me with this process.
So here's the thing, team. I've distilled honey before and it turned out really good and it was nice honey. But it wasn't insanely fancy, very expensive Mānuka honey. So I want to do everything I can to do this honey justice and make the best spirit we possibly can.
So what we're gonna do is start by making a 1 gallon batch of really high quality Mānuka honey mead, and then we're gonna do that same thing at a much larger scale, and that is what we'll actually be distilling into Mānuka honey mead liquor, aka honey shine.
It'll be delicious, we don't know what to call it.
Yeah. So put simply, mead is basically just honey wine, and it's made by mixing honey, water, and yeast in it, ferments into alcohol. I love it, it's really good, it's easy to make. The 1 gallon batches like this are perfect for making at home, and I'll go ahead and link these kits in the description. But I wanted to use the 1 gallon batch almost like a test run so I could make any adjustments and sort of get the recipe exactly where I want it before we scaled things up. So for the large batch, we used all of our delicious honey, which was a lot. We weren't super picky about filtering it because we wanted to keep it as raw as possible. And then we even added some Mānuka leaves. Some people use them to make tea and they have a unique floral taste. Now once we add yeast, the fermentation process usually takes a couple weeks where all the sugars are converted into alcohol. This got somewhere in the ballpark of 10 to 15%, tasted heavenly, and now it's time to move on to running this through still.
This here is the big fermenter where we fermented our bulk honey shine, I guess we're calling it. But the problem is, you can see here, we have a bunch of wax, dead bees, all sorts of stuff floating around in it, and we don't want that going into the still, melting onto elements, burning, so on and so forth. So we're just going to strain it, and just turn the valve on, drain it straight into the still, and we're ready to roll.
So at this point, we've gotten all of our mead transferred into the still, and now the next step is turning it into a concentrated spirit.
The simplest way to describe how distillation works is the more volatile chemicals sitting in the pot, like our alcohol, which are more likely to boil at a lower temperature, are going to be boiled off first, meaning that the vapor going up through the column and through our still is going to be at a much higher ABV. At the end of the day, we decided that the very best thing to respect the price and the awesome flavor of that delicious honey was to double pot distill it. Double pot distillation is celebrated all around the world as the way to get the most flavor out of products that you're distilling. Single malt from Scotland, a lot of old school bourbons, a bunch of brandies, all use this technique, and it's the best way to show off the flavor from this honey.
So this is mead that has been distilled one time. We're gonna give it a taste and see how it is so far, but we are still gonna run it through the still again.
So we call this stuff that came out of the first run, which is a stripping run. This is called low wines.
Oh, I can smell the honey totally, like as soon as you scoop that out.
Yeah.
And one thing that's interesting, you guys saw the color of the mead going into the still, and you notice that coming out of the still, it's completely clear. For going through once, it's better than I expected. I thought it would be a lot more like harsh and burning. Yeah, it's not though.
The thing that really gets me about this is the aroma, dude.
Yeah, 100%.
It smells like putting your head in a honey jar. I mean, I'm used to eating Mānuka honey, so I'm pretty well acquainted with it.
Yeah.
I think your idea of adding Mānuka leaves in is genius, because I'm getting more of it tastes like Mānuka, but it's even more herbal. And I think that might be the leaves.
It's this good right now. I can't wait to see what it's going to be after we run it through the still again.
So our goal for the spirit run now is to try and keep as many of those good flavors we're talking about as possible, raise the ABV, and we want to clean it up a little bit as well. So do you taste, it's almost like licking stainless steel.
Like a metallic kind. To be fair, my palate for spirits is probably nowhere near what yours is. Yeah. This is good enough for me, but if we can make this even better, I'm excited.
But to be clear, this is super clean. Slow wines don't normally taste like that.
Got it. Let's
distill.
Yeah, let's run this through again. Throughout the process of distillation, different alcohols with different flavor compounds sort of just change over time. So part of the art of this and what Jesse was showing us was trying to collect and separate the very best tasting stuff and getting rid of the not so great stuff.
Dude, do you know why they're getting rid of all this? I just want to keep it. This is literally like, that's all you thought. Yeah, maybe not for right?
So our highly scientific method of tasting straight liquor lasted a few hours, and as you might imagine, we were feeling pretty good by the end of it. We'd collected roughly a gallon or two of spirits that we wanted to keep as the final product, and then the next step was proofing it down with water to about 65%, which is still high, but from my understanding, that's in the barrel proof range, which is where you want to be if you're going to let it age. I think if we wouldn't have drank any, this would be about up to here. So at this point, fresh out of the still, the project is still far from over, but we wanted to have a quick taste prior to aging. But before we get to that, one question I really wanted to answer was how much a bottle would theoretically be worth. So one 5-gallon drum of the purest Mānuka honey can be upwards of $30,000, which is absolutely ridiculous. And with that much, we were able to yield about 15 gallons of mead, which then distilled to about 2 gallons of liquor. Meaning from just ingredients alone, one bottle could be around $3,000. Insane. But to be 100% honest with you guys, we don't actually know what the purity or the MgO content of the honey that Dave gave us was. And Dave's a great guy, don't get me wrong, but something's telling me he wasn't just dishing out $30,000 of honey. It definitely was Mānuka, but my best guess is that it was somewhere in the middle in terms of purity, which still puts the cost of the final bottles like well above anything you would buy from the store.
The first thing I notice is when it first hits your mouth, you get this really interesting kind of syrupy, sweet vibe. And I think it might just be that you're tasting sweetness, but there is no sweetness.
Yeah, there's definitely some sort of perceived sweetness.
Yeah,
100%.
Totally. But the aftertaste is just like I've eaten honey.
That's
crazy.
So that's exactly what I was going to say. Pleasant and nice and unique on the front end, but then when you exhale, it's just pure honey to me.
Yeah.
I really like it.
As somebody that likes drinking whiskeys and bourbons, I can see similarities in this without the oak, and I think for me, oak might be the missing piece in this. I think barrel aging could do wonders with this.
I agree, dude.
And so I was determined to do just that. I didn't have a barrel, but for the last 6 months, I've been aging this with these oak staves. I had to toast them and char them myself, but it's supposed to replicate the aging process in a barrel. So as you can see, the color has turned from clear to a nice, beautiful golden color. And now it's time to get this into bottles and see if all of this was actually worth it. So I poured 2 samples, one on the rocks, which is usually how I like bourbon and whiskey, and then one just neat. And this is legitimately the first time I've tried it since I've aged it with the oak, so you're getting my 100% authentic reaction. I'm getting more honey now than I was before. My suspicion was right. Oak was exactly what this needed. This is absolutely incredible. It's like, the honey's much stronger on the nose. It's not overbearing with honey like if you were to get honey flavored whiskeys. It's more so kind of in the background, and everything else is so robust and bold, but still like silky smooth. The interesting thing is I don't know if I'd be able to identify any of the flavors that come from the Mānuka. Well, I guess I do get like the caramel and toffee, but I don't get any of like the anise or mint. It's more so like regular honey, but still very good. All right, let's move on to this one. Oh, interesting. The one on the rocks smells more oaky than the neat sample did. I'm not sure why. That's probably a question for Jesse. Maybe something about diluting it or proofing it down made some of those woody compounds release. I don't know what I'm talking about. I mean, it's really good. I actually surprisingly prefer the neat sample. I don't feel worthy knowing what has gone into it. I have immense appreciation for this, but I'm really proud of what we created.